Hello. It's been a minute. Oh, goodness. So, I'm Jenny. Welcome to my channel. If you've never been here before, I talk about random things that pop into my head. You do not have to agree with me, but I do ask that you be polite in the comments. And today, more than ever, I ask you to do that because I'm going to talk about what my observations are after we've lost Charlie Cook. Listen to me, I can't even talk right today. Charlie Kirk. Okay, so we know he died a few days ago. His body's been sent to his home with his wife, and his family is in mourning right now. And I think a couple things. I think that his death has stirred something in this country, and that people are very angry. I think there's some people that are very scared, and I think some people still have their heads put someplace where it shouldn't be. But not as many as before, saying your head was in the sand. So, one of the first things I'm seeing is that there's still, and this is a problem, okay? There's still a lot of talk about us and them. We need to stop that. And I got to point this out. You know, it's not all of us and it's not all of them. There's a handful on both sides. Okay? There's a handful on both sides who are causing problems for the rest of us who are in the middle, which I've got to say, I think is the majority. Okay? I think is the majority. People should still be able to, you know, this is the United States of America. We have a right to free speech. We have a right to free speech. We have a right to say what we believe. And it doesn't mean you have to agree with me. I say it every video that I start out like this. You don't have to agree with me. I just ask that you keep it polite. That's it. Just keep it polite. But you do not have to agree with me. What are we going to do if we can't stop talking? This is one of the big things that Charlie talked about all the time. When you stop talking, that's when problems start. So we need to keep on talking. But we need to remember, this is not a us versus them problem. It's been created to look that way, but it's not. We're the United States of America. We are Americans. And regardless of what you think or feel, together we all live in this country. All of us. I saw a post, I can't remember exactly how it was worded, but it was something that's weird about America. And I think that the one thing that is really truly weird is that we are so divided on things that are happening in other countries that we're appalled that mass murders happen in other countries, that neighborhoods and cities are being wiped out. And we rejoice, not all of us, but there are people here in this country, the same people who have a problem with other countries losing hundreds of people, but we rejoice in the death of our own citizens. There's something wrong and twisted in that thought process there. You don't celebrate the death. If you're against the deaths anywhere, it should be everywhere. Sorry, I'm a little bit miffed, and I deliberately waited before I said anything for a lot of reasons, because You know, you say something and you get attacked for it. On both sides. Whether you're hot or cold, up or down. If I say I'm up, no, up is wrong because of this and that and this and that. And if I say down is wrong because of this and that and this and that, then I get attacked for it. Or you get attacked for it. This is not right. This is not right. What I'm asking people to do doesn't matter if you're a Christian or not. Well, it does matter. That matters, okay? In my heart, it matters. But besides the point, just getting through today without somebody getting killed, stop and think for a minute before you do something, before you say something. And our politicians, I just said this is not an us and them. And our politicians are still doing that. Us and them, us and them. And that includes President Trump. He's doing the us and them stuff too. And it needs to stop. And we need to start holding individuals accountable for their own actions, their own words, their own consequences of their behaviors. And I'll give you an example. I'm going to give you a really good example. Nobody's pointed this out, but I saw it with my own eyes. Remember, these are my observations. Remember back when President Trump gave his congressional address for the first time right after he was elected president. And that room was physically divided between Republicans and Democrats. But you could sense it. One half of the room was cheering and the other half of the room was not cheering. Observation. Right or wrong, doesn't matter. They didn't agree. I don't particularly have a problem with it, don't necessarily agree with it. There was a handful of people who were disruptive, not all of them. Some of them were protesting in their own way. Whether you liked it or not, they did it, okay? They either didn't stand or they raised signs, and you could see on their faces very clearly disapproval. Doesn't matter. In this country, they have a right to do that. They do not have a right to be disruptive, because we need to have some sort of order in our public place, in our political places, so we don't be disruptive. But they had a right. The other day, and it wasn't President Trump, I don't know who exactly it was that called for a moment of silence. They called for a moment of silence. They didn't say, pray with me. They said, let's just have a moment of silence for Charlie Kirk. And what I saw with my eyes was the majority of the people in that room stood up and they were silent. On both sides of the aisle, not just on the Republicans and not on the Democrats. For the most part, most of the people in that room found what happened very disturbing. But there was a handful of people causing disruptions and being disrespectful. It was not everybody. And that's why I'm saying we need to stop this us and them thing, and we need to start holding people in political places accountable for their actions. Because you know as well as I do, if you've been watching anything, that there have been people talking about taking it to the streets and taking people behind the schoolhouse and punching them in the nose and all these violent messages coming from people with authority that we voted into office, or maybe we didn't vote them in, but they won, and they need to be held accountable for what they're saying and what they're inciting. And it goes from the top. I'm talking to you, Mr. Trump. You need to stop using the us and them words too. It is not about Republicans versus Democrats. It's about the United States of America. It is about the United States of America and the citizens living in this country side by side. We're going to work every single day, side by side, in the workplace. Driving on the roads, car next to car, walking down the street, passing people on the street. We're not supposed to be doing this to each other. We don't have to agree. I don't agree with people in my own family sometimes, but I don't hit them and I don't shoot them. And all this country is a larger family, if you think about it that way. And you don't shoot somebody just because they don't believe what you believe, or they don't think what you think. That's supposed to be the beauty of our country. That is what we were founded on. We need to get back to basics.